There's a surprising engineering connection between this tractor and this hypersonic rocket plane. The X-15 was a rocket plane used by NASA and the US Air Force during the 1960s to conduct research into hypersonic flight. The X-15 would fly to the edge of space. Indeed, most of its pilots qualified for astronauts' wings, and at more than 6 times the speed of sound. Since 1967, the X-15 has held the record for the fastest crewed-powered aircraft at a speed of 7,274 km an hour, or more than 2 km per second. Able to fly at such high speeds and at the edge of space, the X-15 was a technological marvel and generated a huge amount of valuable data. It contributed to the design of the space shuttle and is still being used to advance aircraft design today. But the X-15 might never have got there had it not been for engineering lessons taken from farm machinery. The first of the X-planes, the Bell X-1, which pushed Chuck Yeager through the sound barrier in 1947, was carried partially recessed in the bomb bay of a Boeing B-50. The X-1's pilot would ride in the B-50 during its climb to altitude, and then climb into the X-1 prior to launch. The X-15, on the other hand, was to be launched from a B-52, which could fly at much higher speed and altitude than the old B-50. However, the design of the B-52 and the X-15 meant that the X-15 could not be slung underneath the bomb bay of the B-52, and instead had to be carried underneath the wing. This meant that the X-15's pilot would have to be strapped into the X-15 prior to takeoff and during the long climb to the launch point. Not only that, but the pilot had to be in the aircraft for fueling and systems checks prior to takeoff, meaning that the pilot could be seated in the aircraft for several hours even before it got off the ground. Sitting for that long on a hard metal seat would become quite painful, to the extent that it would impair the performance of the pilot. On such a high-performance aircraft, where every extra bit of weight had to be saved, the extra kilo added by a cushion, even an inflatable one, was deemed a luxury that would have too much of an impact on the performance of the aircraft. The X-15's designers looked for a lightweight solution to the pilot's discomfort, and found it in agricultural machinery. Farmers often have to spend up to 16 hours a day sat in bone-shaking machinery bouncing over rough fields. Because of this, the International Harvester Company had conducted extensive research into seat comfort and the vibration modes of the human spine. International harvesters had developed a simple seat that wouldn't leave farmers crippled at the end of a day's work. The X-15's engineers took this research and designed a seat that only significantly differed from the ones in the harvesters in the fact that it was much lighter weight. While none of the X-15's pilots would describe it as a comfortable ride, this agricultural approach meant that at least it was bearable, and they rode the X-15 into the record books.